What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for yet another Tottenham update. We're going to be talking a lot about very similar players that we have done in the last couple of days, but we are going to start off with Emerson Royal. We have been hearing over the last couple of days that, it's one step away. The transfer is imminent. But Ben Jacobs says today that he understands Emerson Royal is not a priority for Milan anymore. We prefer to strengthen in midfield and attack. We have heard something like this before, I think, 2-3 weeks ago, I think it was, or maybe even longer than that, saying that Emerson isn't a priority, and then we saw the talks really progress. Do you buy this at all?
I don't really see Ben Jacobs as that much reliable source. He usually, from what I see from his reporting, he regurgitates a lot of news from other outlets and kind of passes it off as I never see him break a story. But this is him putting out an exclusive, so you got to think he wouldn't do that unless there was some legs to it. But if you read the report, it doesn't say the deal's dead. It doesn't say the deal's not happening. It just says it's not a priority. So it's a bit weirdly worded. It doesn't suggest to me that this deal isn't going to happen. But I do think it's probably a bit of posturing from AC Milan to get Spurs to budge on whatever that they're kind of being stubborn on. That's what I feel.
What's there to budge on? I mean, we heard there was only like a 1 million difference or something like that. Like, can't you just meet in the middle and just get the deal done? Like,
you know who we're dealing with. You know who we're dealing with. Every penny must be accounted for. So I do think this deal will still get done. But it's not the best update. Obviously, it's not what you want to hear. But, I mean, reading between the lines, I still don't think the deal's dead.
Yeah, it's got to get done, surely. After everything that we've been hearing, even Fabrizio Romano said the deal is just round the corner. DiMarzio, all the reliable journalists come out and say it's basically done. And this was, 48 hours ago now, and still we've heard nothing. So hopefully we can get some sort of concrete update very soon.
Yeah.
Next up, the Bleacher Report reporting on Manor Solomon, and they say that Brighton, Leicester and Wolves have all inquired about signing Manor Solomon. Spurs are keen to sell him permanently this summer, but a loan deal with an option to buy is the most likely outcome. To be fair, I'd like to see him in the Premier League next season, maybe if he can stay clear of injuries. It'll be interesting to see him in a Brighton team.
Yeah, I think he'll do really well. Obviously, they've got a new manager now, and they're still going to play their expansive attacking football, and he would really suit them. And I think that'd be a really good signing. Wolves under Gary O'Neill, I could see him doing a good job there. Maybe he could put him in Pedro Neto deal as a sweetener. That'd be interesting. I think he would fit in fairly well with Wolves, but what Wolves do generally like are players who run into the space and attack the space. And as much as Solomon can do that, I think his forte is more having the ball at his feet, and I don't know if he's the most suited to how Wolves like to play with their wide players. And then the other one, Leicester, obviously they'll up their quality of their front line and make them more Premier League ready or add to their squad depth. If I was him, I'd probably pick Brighton as my pick. That would probably be the team I'd join. And I also think if it's a loan with an option to buy and he has a good season at Brighton, I could definitely see them making that permanent.
If I was him, I'd probably pick Wolves, to be honest. Just out of selfish reasons, maybe a little sweetener in the Pedro Neto deal.
Yeah, there you go. Well, from that point of view, definitely.
Let's talk about Richarlison, because some interesting updates coming out about him. We heard over the last, we've heard conflicting reports, haven't we? Some saying he is open to going, some saying he's not open to going. Well, I think this one pretty much makes the case closed on that one, because two reports coming out of Brazil. One says there is interest in Richarlison from Saudi Arabia. However, the player has no intention to leave. And the other report actually has a quote from him, and it says, Richarlison, he's not going to Saudi Arabia despite a lucrative offer. And the direct quote from Richarlison says that the money is big, but my dreams are bigger. And he says he wants to stay at Tottenham where he's happy and prioritises playing at the next World Cup for Brazil.
Yeah, and I think that kills the deal, in my opinion. A direct quote from Richarlison. We've heard it from the end of last season. He said he wants to stay in London. We've now heard him reiterate that, saying he doesn't want to go to Saudi. He's going to stay in England. I don't think this deal happens now. I think this deal is dead. I think Richarlison is staying. I think it's pretty concrete at this point. Unless something really dramatic happens, I think it's pretty concrete. What that means for our striker search remains to be seen. Ange, I'm pretty sure, said publicly that we're looking for a striker. That's one area we're looking to improve. I don't think he would say that just on just relying on the fact that Richarlison will leave. I think it would happen regardless. So it just means we have to probably shift different someone else. I was actually looking at the squad, and I think out of the first team players at the moment, we have like 29, and obviously we can only have really a squad of 24 if we're only going to have 3 homegrown players, potentially 2 if Skip leaves. So that would mean only 23. So that would mean we need 6 players probably right now to leave to fulfill the squad, and that's without signing anyone. Obviously, we do have Lo Celso, we've got Reguilon, we've got who else we have? We've got a few other players who Emerson who could still leave as well. So there are a few options to leave, but if Richarlison is not going to leave, it means someone else is probably going to have to make way. Obviously, Solomon could be out the door. So that's already 4 that could probably leave before the end of the window. But if we're going to make room to signing players, probably another 3 on top of that would have to leave potentially.
Who could they be? I'm trying to think of the team. Like, who could they be? I've heard a few rumours like Bentancur could be out the door. But apart from him, I can't really think of anyone else.
Where was I looking at? Where's the squad? Oh, so you who else we got? So Reguilon, blah blah blah. I mean Davis maybe, but he doesn't look like he's going anywhere at the moment. It's tough. I mean, it means probably leaving some of the youngsters out potentially some of the youngsters out of the B list of Europe. I mean, that's the only real option I see. Or we sign maybe Carl Walker-Peters.
Counting Valise on that list?
No, I wasn't. He's already gone. So I'm looking at like there's 29 first team players. I wasn't even counting some of the youngsters. I'm not sure which youngsters need to be on the B list or not. I think a few of them do. So it's a difficult situation at the moment. Maybe there will be a surprise like a Bentancur or Kulusevski leaving. I mean, it's difficult to find. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe Forster needs to go potentially. We've got Whiteman and Austin there. Do we need Forster there really? No. Maybe he's one. Maybe Phillips needs to go out on loan. So I can understand why there's maybe just some of these players are just going to have to be left out. Spence, maybe Spence has to go. Maybe that's maybe we have to sell him and use Archie Gray there. We can use Archie Gray there, so you could sell him.
It leaves ourselves so short because I think if Spence goes, we need to bring someone in because at least Spence can cover both right and left. We're still going to need to bring someone else in.
Yeah, but we have someone in Gray who can play on the right, and it means we have to bring in a left back. I mean, we have Davis there, but we'd obviously probably want someone else.
Exactly. Davis ain't really a left back. I mean, you can play Van de Ven there, but it just seems like we're leaving ourselves a bit too short.
Well, if we want signings in the other areas, we're going to have to make some sacrifices.
I guess maybe when we're back in the studio next week and we haven't made any signings, or maybe we have, we can delve deeper into the actual squad and the numbers and everything like that.
In terms of Richarlison, I'm pretty happy that. I mean, I'm pretty happy that he wants to stay and fight for his place and he wants to achieve something here. And I like that mentality. He's offered big money in Saudi, and he's saying, "No, I actually want to achieve something of significance at Tottenham. I've got big dreams to win big things." And I, for one, if we can sign another striker on top of him, I think we're better off for it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's just about if you can keep him fit or not. That's just what it comes down to.
He played 28 games last season. It's not like he missed that. Like he missed 10 games, yes, but like 28. It's not like he was out for, It's not like he played 10 games.
True. It's a good point. I just feel. Do you feel like if Richarlison, if we do bring in another striker and he loses his space to that striker, he could get the hump a little bit and lose a bit of the motivation?
Yeah, that's something we're going to have to risk. But I think there will be plenty of game time with Europa League, with all the cup competitions. And I think in some Premier League games, he'll be able to rotate as well. We know he's a Premier League quality striker. We even saw it last season when he was fit. I think having him as an option, and even look, he's good enough to, in my opinion, if he stays fit, I think he's good enough to keep that number one spot if he can, because I know Solanke's good, but we saw how good Richarlison could be when he's fit and he's on top of his game. So it'll be on him to keep that spot, and I'm sure he'll back himself to do it. And he's probably looking at the situation. Look, Tottenham's a very good club, and he's seen the potential of when he is fit, what he can do in this team. So I think, look, having him plus another striker, I think it's good.
And let's talk about Dominic Solanke now. Tom Barkley says that Tottenham are growing in confidence now that they can land their striker Dominic Solanke this summer. And Dean Jones Soccer says that Bournemouth are not expected to agree to a low-ball offer from Tottenham for Dominic Solanke. The transfer saga could drag on for some time yet. Do you feel that 55 million plus add-ons is a low-ball offer?
I don't think it's a low ball offer, depending on obviously what the add-ons are, but I think that's pretty fair for what Solanke is, in my opinion. I think what he is, he's probably like a £50 million striker. However, the current market of strikers is not, there's not tons and tons, to be honest, especially the profile we're looking at. So you might have to pay a premium because of the shortage out there. 65 million, again, it's overpaying, but I don't think it's like daylight robbery, in my opinion. 65 million for Solanke currently, with the form he's in and how good he can be. So, look, we'll have to wait and see if there's any budging with Bournemouth when it comes to Solanke. If Solanke's going to kick up a fuss, I do think he'll be a good signing. I would like him, and especially if Richarlison stays, I think it kind of makes it even a better signing, because if we have those two fighting it out with each other, you're not solely relying on Solanke. You know you have a striker in Richarlison who can play that role if he can stay fit. And I think that those kind of rotation options is really, really good. I think there's two really good strikers there battling out.
Yeah. And last but not least, Ben Jacobs says that he understands Spurs have now concrete interest in Ivan Toney. A new striker is a key priority for Spurs. No bid or movement as of note on Dominic Solanke as well, is what he says. If I gave you the option right now, Ivan Toney or Dominic Solanke, which one are you taking?
Ivan Toney or Dominic Solanke. In a weird way, I think Solanke might fit us better. I think Toney's a bit of a better player, to be honest. I think he's got more to his game. I think he's technically a bit better. I think like when he gets the ball on his chest and into feet, and he can spray the ball about, and he's got a bit more of an all-round game. But I think as a pure penalty box striker and someone who's going to make loads of movements and be very aggressive and pressing as well, I do think Solanke's better at that kind of stuff. So I've been warming to Solanke a lot. So I think probably I'm leaning towards Solanke. I actually think as well, character-wise, Solanke is less of a risk. And as well, you've seen with Toney, he had a betting thing, and then something else came up with another betting scandal, and he had his ban like extended a bit. So that's always going to be on the back of your mind with Toney. Is there another betting scandal around the corner? Is there something that they haven't uncovered yet? So I'm not saying that's definitely the case. Obviously not. It's probably not, but that's always a bit of a risk. So I am leaning towards Solanke at the moment, albeit, as I'm saying, I do think Toney's probably a slightly better player.
But you can get Toney at probably a very significantly lesser fee than you can get Solanke for. I mean, you can probably get Toney out the door for 45 million, and Solanke's probably going to cost best part of 60 million, in between 50 and 60 million. So, is it worth that extra 20 million? Do you reckon?
I don't think player quality wise it is. I think player quality wise you're probably better off going for Toney. I think all the stuff that surrounds it. Potentially, obviously, Solanke's a bit younger. I mean, nearly 3 years younger, I think. So a bit longer left. He's on better form as well. So as much as Toney's a good player, he ended the season quite poorly. And I do think he's a slightly better fit for the system from what Tottenham are looking for their striker. So I think he is probably worth the 20 million in that case.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think Solanke is more tailor-made to the system that we play. I think he'll get more goals in this system, albeit I do agree as well that Ivan Toney probably is a better all-round player. I think I've said it many a time that I wasn't really in the favour of signing Ivan Toney because of the issues that have gone around his career, not just the betting scandal, but other things that he's shown in the past as well. And I don't think any of those can relate to Dominic Solanke. And I feel like Solanke's attitude and application is always absolutely spot on. So I'd prefer to go for Solanke as well.
Me too. But if we did land on Toney, if Solanke did prove to be too expensive, I don't think Toney's a bad fullback option. I think it'd be pretty good.
He's a good player, and he'll bring a lot to this football club. So I'll be happy to go for either of them. I'll just prefer for Solanke to come in.
Yeah.
Just before we leave, actually, there's just been some news from Matty Moretto on Emerson Royal, and he says the deal is very close. AC Milan haven't shifted their focus elsewhere, despite rumours of this from England. There is very little left to do to complete the deal now. I mean, he did say something similar 2 days ago, though.
Yeah, I know, but he's clearly responding to what Ben Jacobs was saying in terms of rumours from England. So I think that's pretty much in line with what we were saying. I do still think this deal was on. The Ben Jacobs line didn't really it seemed a bit off in terms of how he worded it. It didn't seem like the deal was dead at all. So it looks like talks in Italy, rumors in Italy are still very much that this deal is alive. So I still expect it to happen.
All right. Well, there you have it. That is your Tottenham update for today. Hopefully we'll have some more news to bring you later on today in terms of incomings, because I feel like the Spurs fan base is getting a bit of, getting a bit frustrated at the moment, and we need something. We need a here we go from Fabrizio Romano on someone.
We need an Ornstein bomber, just out of nothing rumored, just like a complete surprise. That's what we need.
Yeah. But that's all we have for you today. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on,
How are you,
Spurs.
Spurs?